The Democratic Republic of Congo. It's a land of stunning beauty. Think lush rainforests, mighty rivers, and incredible wildlife. But beneath the surface lies a treasure trove of minerals. We're talking cobalt, coltan, diamonds, gold, you name it. The DRC has it. You'd think this would make it one of the richest countries on Earth, right? Wrong. The DRC is one of the poorest and most conflict-ridden places on the planet. It's a classic case of the resource curse. Instead of being a blessing, the DRC's wealth has become a magnet for greed, corruption, and violence. This is a story of exploitation on a massive scale. Neighboring countries, Western corporations, and now China, they're all vying for a piece of the Congolese pie. And guess who gets left with the crumbs? The Congolese people, of course. They're trapped in a cycle of poverty, violence, and despair. It's a story that's both heartbreaking and infuriating. But it's not all doom and gloom. There are glimmers of hope. The international community is starting to wake up to the crisis. The US and the EU are trying to counter China's growing influence. And within the DRC itself, people are fighting back against corruption and demanding a better future. So, buckle up as we dive deep into the heart of the DRC's resource curse. We'll expose the players, the profits, and the devastating human cost. This is a story that needs to be told. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth stories. Let's talk about the DRC's neighbors, Rwanda, Uganda, and Burundi. They're like that shady family next door who keeps borrowing your lawnmower and never returns it. Except in this case, they're borrowing billions of dollars worth of minerals. They've been fueling conflict in the DRC for decades, backing rebel groups and militias to keep the eastern part of the country unstable. Why? So they can get their hands on those precious resources without any pesky government interference. Rwanda, in particular, has been called out for its role in the conflict. They've been accused of backing the M23 rebels, who control key mining areas. We're talking smuggled minerals, fake paperwork, the works. It's like a mafia operation except with more coltan and less cannoli. Uganda and Burundi aren't innocent either. They've got their own shady deals and proxy militias operating in the region. It's a free-for-all, and the Congolese people are caught in the crossfire. Now let's talk about the West. They love to lecture everyone about human rights and democracy, but when it comes to Congolese minerals, they're happy to look the other way. Our smartphones, laptops, electric cars, they all rely on cobalt and coltan, much of which comes from the DRC. And Western corporations can't get enough of it. Sure, they claim to care about ethical sourcing, they've got all these fancy programs and certifications, but at the end of the day they're still buying minerals from shady suppliers who are profiting from the conflict. It's like buying a blood diamond, but instead of a shiny ring, you get a new iPhone. And let's not forget about the private military companies. These guys are like the Wild West mercenaries of the 21st century. They provide security for mining companies, train local forces, and generally add to the chaos. It's a lucrative business, and they're not too picky about who they work for. In recent years, a new player has emerged on the scene: China. They've been pouring billions of dollars into the DRC, securing mining rights and infrastructure projects. China now controls over 70% of the country's cobalt mining industry. They've also got their eyes on other strategic minerals like coltan, lithium, and copper. China's strategy is simple: minerals for infrastructure. They build roads, railways, and power plants in exchange for long-term access to the DRC's resources. On the surface, it sounds like a win-win situation. But critics argue that these deals are heavily skewed in China's favor. They say the DRC isn't getting a fair share of the profits, and that these projects are saddling the country with debt. Plus, there are concerns about labor and environmental standards. Chinese companies have been accused of exploiting local workers, paying low wages, and ignoring environmental regulations. It's a familiar story of neocolonialism, with China as the new kid on the block. The US and EU response. The US and the EU have been watching China's growing influence with, increasing anxiety. They're worried about losing access to these critical minerals, which are essential for their high-tech industries and green energy ambitions. So, they've been scrambling to catch up. The US has been trying to diversify its supply chains, investing in mining projects in Australia, Canada, and Latin America. They've also been putting pressure on the DRC government to renegotiate its contracts with Chinese companies and, to crack down on corruption. The EU has a similar playbook. They're trying to secure their own mineral deals with the DRC and other resource-rich countries. They've also been providing financial and technical assistance to help the DRC improve its mining governance and transparency. It's a classic geopolitical tug-of-war, with the DRC caught in the middle. The question is, can the US and the EU offer a better deal than China, or will the DRC continue to be exploited by foreign powers? In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the toll of resource exploitation is more than economic. It's deeply human. Families are torn apart, and communities are left in shambles. The dreams of many are shattered, and the future of countless children is compromised. The human cost is immeasurable and heartbreaking. Yet, there is hope. By addressing corruption and ensuring fair distribution of wealth, the DRC can pave a path to prosperity. International cooperation and responsible investment are crucial. Empowering local communities and upholding human rights can transform the nation's trajectory. The path forward is challenging but not impossible. The future of the DRC remains uncertain. Will it succumb to the weight of its resource curse or rise above it? The choices made today will shape the destiny of millions. It's a delicate balance between potential and peril. Only time will tell which path the nation will take. Now, more than ever, global awareness and action are needed. Governments, corporations, and individuals must come together to support sustainable practices and ethical investments. It's a call to action for a brighter, more just future for the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Each of us has a role to play in making a difference.